Good evening and welcome to the 17th edition of Finance Management Series, Wednesday, 24th September 2025. And in today's edition, we bring to you retirement lessons and experiences. And to help discuss this before our audience virtual, we have Asan, Kasingye, former Assistant Inspector General of Police, Managing Director, Tayari Security Company, and the spokesperson for Soccer Club Villa. Asan, you're most welcome. The next panelist is Dr. Charles Barugahare, a financial consultant and founder Finance Literacy Improvement Program. Dr. Charles, you're most welcome.
Good evening.
Today's topic, retirement, lessons and experience. We have our audience, a large spectrum of stakeholders, working class, business community, students, business leaders. Dr. Charles, I want to start with you. This is an icebreaker. What was your first encounter with the word retirement?
Thank you so much, Dr. Robinson Ogwang. Once again, good evening, listeners and viewers. My first encounter with retirement was several years ago when I was working with the Care International. We were working in a project, and as we were busy in our routines, we were communicated that the project we were working in was soon coming to an end, and that they were preparing and doing everything possible to have the project renewed. And that's when it hit me hard a bit, that I may be out of job in a short while. And when that happened, a number of things started to change. And the truth be told, in less than 6 months, I had already left the organization, but the project finally closed, and I interfaced with a number of people that were affected. Some of them are up to now retired because of that action. So it's something that lives with us, and it can happen anytime. That was my encounter.
Thank you so much. Asan, good evening, and your first encounter with the word retirement.
Can I put, maybe I remain on audio alone?
No problem, it's okay.
Okay, let me turn off the camera. All right. My first experience on can you hear me so well? Thank you so much. My experience on retirement is that retirement is something that you need to have planned for, and you never know when it comes. Most of us who work in traditional civil service, like I was, the understanding is that you are going to retire at 60. But in between, that is when you sign and you start work. But in between, certain things arise and certain policies keep on changing. One of the things that changed within police is that on the introduction of the rank of Assistant Inspector General of Police, which was introduced somewhere in 2000, I think it was 2000, around 2003, 2002, 2003. I think it came in 2004. Now, once that rank was introduced, a policy was made that whoever attains the rank of Assistant Inspector General of Police retires, and then he becomes contractual. Now, that for me came in 2009, and in 2009 I was exactly 45 years of age. It actually coincided almost with my birthday. Now, what does that mean? It means that I retired from civil service at the age of 45. Now, what people must know, therefore, is that you can retire at any time. It can be as a result, of merging of offices. It can be as a result of sickness. It can be as a result of changing your, sometimes the job that you have, the assignment that you have, government may remove it. You remember there are those government departments when they merged these MDAs and commissions, some people lost jobs. They had to go. So my first experience is that retirement can come anytime, like it came for me. And you need to start planning from the day you put your signature on the appointment letter. That is what everybody should be doing. And I think once you do that, then the rest becomes easier. That was my first experience when I retired.
This conversation, and we have students, we have those who have just started career, we have business leaders, we have board members here. How did you receive that message of retirement at 45? On your birthday?
I was so happy that I was being promoted, from commissioner to director. So Assistant Inspector General of Police is a rank that is equivalent to director. So I had become a director. I had got my 3 years of contract. At that time, there were 3 years, yes. And I was so ecstatic. I was so happy. And I looked forward to beginning a very a new career. And, at that rank, I was 45 years, and I could see that by the time I leave civil service at 60 years of age, really I would have served, something like 15 years at that level. This was so exciting. However, I quickly started realizing that I needed to put my act together. And therefore, you can say that the early retirement that I got was so good for me that it showed me that you had to plan. I began to be conscious of every year that I served. I began to ask myself, what have I done? What have I planned? Now, supposing my contract is not renewed, do I have where to stay? Do I have something that brings in income when I no longer get a salary? Is my pension enough? Was my, gratuity? At that time, I remember I received 38 million Uganda shillings because of the years I had worked. Now, if you put that Chibaro, I was still a young person and I had not reached the point where I was going to get a lot of money. Now, I received 38 million shillings. To tell you the truth, I don't know even what I did with that money. Within maybe 6 months, I didn't have that money. I don't know what I did. So Later on, I began to realize that as soon as the 2 years of extension are over, 3 years are over, I was lucky, I got 2 years. When I got 2 years, now I was taken to Interpol, the directorate of Interpol. And I used to travel a lot. I used to have, people who were retired and they were working in the organization and they were telling me a lot of things and I was getting experience. I was getting, technical knowledge from people on what can be done. I began to look at work outside of this country. I began to develop friends. I began to do lots of things. Now, therefore, it somehow made me grow quick in thinking. I began to go to banks, talk to bank managers about what I needed to do with the money that I had in the bank. So they began to tell me to not to put the money where I was putting it because at that time I used to, they call it to put money on a fixed account, that is to fix money. I used to fix money. You fix money for the whole year. You cannot use that money. And the amount, the percentage that is given really, when you look at it, then you find there is no reason why you should be able to fix money. I began to learn from friends who had retired about things like unit trust. I had never heard of a unit trust. I didn't know how to operate it. I began to put a lot of attention on borrowing, on lending government. I began to start studying about money markets and financial markets. I began to look at treasury bonds. I began to get interested in treasury bills. I began to get interested in all those and how they work. And then I also now began to, because I had not even had a family home, I began to start thinking together with my wife what we needed to do in order to get land, probably a farm. How do we get the money? What do we need to do? And then I also started thinking about having a side income, like a hustle. I had during my work, I had started a transport company. I began now to start talking to friends how I can make it bigger. I began to look at it as a business, as a real business. I began now to start thinking, putting structures. I had managers. I had, meetings with the drivers. Something it became a business, and I began to put the money together that will be able to enable me to achieve whatever I wanted. So I can say that that experience of early retirement made me to grow quick or grow thick skin. And by the time I was I was told now the contract cannot be renewed, I went and started, to join the kind of things that I had already started. So life didn't become so difficult for me because I had planned for that.
Wonderful. The conversation is getting better. Dr. Charles,
Yes.
let's pick from there. I've just got a message. And what is retirement from your perspective as a financial consultant and a mentor? And how do you plan for retirement?
Thank you so much. Retirement basically is a period beyond your active working life. And that period, like my elder Asan has said, can happen anytime. It can be due to mandatory age. It can be due to restructuring. You have seen government restructure. It can be due to contract expiry. It can be due to dismissal. It can be due to medical grounds. It can be voluntary. You can voluntarily say, I have made a decision to retire. Why is it important to actually plan for retirement? I want to look at it from a three-stool angle, a three-legged stool angle, where the first leg of the stool is the financial arm, that you need to continue earning or receiving some income when you are actually out of the job, because expenses will not actually stop. You will continue spending even when you are not working, even when you are not earning. So the first leg of that stool is the financial arm. The second leg is how to remain productive. What are you going to be doing from morning to evening, Monday to Sunday, after your routine formal job where you are leaving at 6 and going to office and coming back later in the evening? And maybe on the weekends you have functions for the organization and so on. What are you going to be doing? That's the second leg. The third leg is networks. The common networks of people who are working is fellow colleagues at work. Now, when you get out of the formal job and those networks get disconnected, you must have alternative, or you must have preset, or you must have developed other networks outside formal employment. So once you have those three, I can tell you, you can stabilize in retirement and enjoy your retirement. My experience at Makerere in two positions, one as the Director Internal Audit and two as the University Secretary and Accounting Officer, made me get to see how people were retiring and quickly some of them becoming miserable. I saw some colleagues who would retire and fear to hand over actually the offices, which to me was a signal that we need to plan ahead in terms of retirement. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Charles, for that perspective. Asan, on learning your retirement due to a policy shift, you took it positively. How do you consider work-life balance?
How do I consider life-work balance?
Because I know now you were very busy knowing your own contract. Did you continue to live a normal life?
Oh yes, thank you so much for that question. Yeah, there is one side that you know you are going to retire and that your contract may not be renewed. There is also that side that makes you complacent, that I already work and I still have some years. You know, it's in the mind that no, it will be renewed and nothing can really stop me. I'm doing a good job. So those are the things that were in my head, and so you sometimes think that you have time when actually you don't have time. And I want to be open that by the time I left the office, I was not completely ready for whatever happened to me. And I see many of my colleagues, even those who are still in the police, we seem not to learn from our other colleagues, and we continue doing the same mistakes. I'm struggling even to make sure that to go back to the police and talk to them. They seem not really to be very much interested, and I can save a lot of people because it's going to happen to them. So work balance is affected by that. But secondly, you start to think and start to prepare that what I have been doing throughout my career in civil service should be the kind of things that I should be able to do when I leave service. You cannot spend 30 years. I spent 33 years in civil service doing community policing. I had a lot of experience on issues to do with police and working together with communities, which means I had worked with NGOs, I had worked with other government agencies, I had worked with people, I had even gone to communities like churches everywhere. I can tell you, our host, I can tell you that if there was a police officer known to so many people in this country, it was me. I had worked as a public relations officer. I was on TV, I was on radio, I was everywhere. So it's like people knew exactly who I am. Now the question is, are you going to take advantage of that when you are in civil service? That while I am on this duty, I was trained even locally and abroad on certain things. If you are an engineer, you may have been trained more on water engineering. If you were doing, you are in accounts, you must have got some more training in accounts, and you must have got some linkages. Okay? So now the question is, as you prepare to retire, are you like coalescing? Are you like trying to find out in society, in these communities, in Uganda, who are those people that will need your services? Because you should jump from the job you are doing, and in your retirement, you must become more useful in what you are doing. For example, I started a company together with friends called Tayari Security. Now, Tayari Security is a private security company. This is a business, but at the same time doing security. Now, we have so many companies of that nature in Uganda, about 300. I found companies which had started 10 years ago, 20 years ago. I was new in business. Now, let me tell you this. The first client who by now has about 200 of my guards, this first client did not ask me to make bids. I just walked into that international agency, and the director, the country director, didn't know me well. So I walked in, and people who took me there, they were taking me as a big man. Oh, Assistant Inspector General, this man is a good man. This man, they said he was doing this and this. We know him. Now, he went and checked. I think he Googled my name. He checked and read everything that had been written about me, and read everything that I had done for this country. You know what he told me? Tomorrow, bring here your profile, your company profile. Tell us how much you pay your workers. We want to know, regardless of the fact that this was my first client. First client means I had not worked anywhere. There, I got a job of supplying 200 guards, and I'm up to now, I maintain it after 3 years. When the company closes this project, it opens this project, it opens the other project, and I am always with them. My message to people who are hearing me, that take advantage of what you are doing while you are in office, the technical capacity that you are getting, the professionalism that you are getting, and never take your job as if you are not serious. Make sure that you have a name that you go with when you get out. Make sure there is what Baganda called umukururo. Make sure that you have what is it in English? Umukururo, a legacy. Make sure that you have built a legacy. All those things help you when you begin a new chapter in your life. And I think, to me, that is so important. That helps us to get out of when we are in retirement. Maybe I stop here so that I could.
Thank you very much for that perspective. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 17th edition of Financial Education Series, brought to you by Financial Literacy Improvement Program. And today, our topic is retirement lessons and experiences. Two distinguished panelists, former Assistant Inspector General of Police, Managing Director, Tayari Security Company, and spokesperson for Soccer Club Villa, Asan Kasingye. and Dr. Charles Barugahare, financial consultant, a mentor and former University Secretary, Makerere University, and a author of several books, Breaking Expenses, Outpacing Income, the 9 pillars to exploit your potential and navigating the financial path. Dr. Charles, taking from Asan, take advantage of your expertise, your skills into retirement, and their skills and their experiences that one needs in order to navigate life in retirement.
Thank you so much. When I was listening in to my elder Asan, I was deeply reflecting, and it was basically feeding into what we are doing. What we are doing is I am applying financial knowledge and skills and the networks I acquired while working in various places where I've worked to, first of all, deliver this content. Number 2, to get connections and networks that matter. Number 3, to keep me networked and engaged in various platforms. I can tell you that I find it very easy to pick a call and call somebody from the ministry which you are relating with and working with and say, can we have a meeting to discuss A, B, C, and D? He says, welcome, come the next day. And that for me becomes very, very critical for anyone who is working. Number 2 is that I learned over time that there is a difference between acquiring general knowledge and focused skills. Now, to the many people who are still working, try and pay attention to specialized skills so that you are not general in nature. You have some specific skills that you can apply in real life situations. What do I mean when I say that? If you are a financial person, can you do coaching? If you are a financial person, can you do financial training? If you are a financial person, can you do auditing and go and audit other organizations? If you are a financial person, can you do tax advisory? Can you go out and advise people on how to prepare books of account, on how to manage taxes, and be able to monetize that as your source of income? When that happens, then you will have started, 1, to attract some financial resource. Number 2, you will be engaged and productive. Number 3, you will keep your networks active. And when that happens, the entry into retirement becomes easy. The question of where do I go from Monday to Friday or to Sunday after I've retired will cease to be there. The issue of some money coming in will also be addressed, and keeping networks will also be addressed. And therefore, use your skills, but develop them further to make sure that they are unique and that some people can actually call you and attract you to provide that service.
Thank you very much, Dr. Charles. Let me take on Asan. With your 33 years of service and now in private practice, what message would you give to the young people joining the working class, be it in public or private?
This is the message that I would give to young people. Young people need, number 1, to understand that planning for retirement starts on day 1. Every single day that you work, you are actually planning for retirement. That does not only mean finances, putting your finances properly, but it also means trying to make sure that you have you are an officer who is serving diligently, who has a good name, who has ethical conduct, who is accountable, and you will find at the end of the day that you will go back to that society and settle, and nobody will even touch you because you served your country well. Let everybody know that. Young people must know that. It is very, very important. Number two is that while you get your salary and while you get opportunities, don't blow your money. I see young people, they go to bars, they drink city, they do all sorts of things, even when it is not necessary. Every single coin that you get while you work matters now, but more importantly, it matters in the future. Because that amount of money, you can invest small as it is, you can invest it, you can save it fast, you can invest it, and then later on, you find that it's a game of numbers. 1 + 1 is equal this. So it is very important that they begin to be wise and use their money. And they can even start, acquiring some few things that they expand on it. I gave you an example of a minibus that I started, and by the time I retired, if it was not for COVID, I would have had a huge transport business, but it was dealt with by COVID. So it is important. But the other thing that is that people who are working right now, they need to know that retirement, as my colleague here, I call him my young brother, is that retirement actually means that you will need a steady income when you actually retire, a steady income. That means go and put something somewhere that brings in money. Even if it means omuzigo, this small 1 room, 2 rooms where people are going to start paying you. Instead of taking money and blowing it, go and buy some small piece of land, put some mizigos, put them there. Do something that brings in money. And this kind of money is going to be important. The other thing that I saw while I was working, and it is catching up with me, sometimes I was so serious about work. I was so serious about work that I didn't care about myself. And when I was about in 2019, I got a very serious back problem. And up to now, I really have to do a lot of physiotherapy. Care about your life. Care about your life. Go make sure that every 6 months you go to a hospital and you know your health status. Do not sit in those offices and so do regular exercises and avoid stress and all that kind of thing. Lastly, because I know I still have some little time, lastly, your family is going to be important. Young people who are in offices, the the next people that you are going to meet in your retirement is your family. Take it as important. I saw that some people that I thought were friends to me, some of them have never called me till 3 years. They have never called me to find out how I am. But my family is closer to me. So young person who is still in government, please make sure that your family is maintained because you will need it when you retire. Those could be some of the experiences I can give right now. I thank you.
Dr. Charles Barugahare, they said that the best time to plant a tree or trees is 20 years ago, But if you have not planted any, the best time is now. What is the best time for retirement planning?
Thank you so much, our moderator. I want to first share these statistics so that they can help us to guide into planning. These are not my statistics. They are statistics that were provided by Bossa Musa Mpungu around the fate of retirement. He says that 1% will most likely retire rich. 4% will retire financially stable and independent. 5% will be forced to continue working to earn a living and survive. 12% will retire financially broke. This one I even have pain saying it. 29% unfortunately will not be alive by the time of mandatory retirement of say age 60. But the more painful one that I want to share is that remaining percentage, which is 49%, who will most likely retire as financial dependents on family, friends, and the community for survival. Now, given that statistics, I think the next best time to prepare is now, when you get to know that your future is in your hands. There are so many aspects that are coming to us around. You don't even need to retire. We have had those kind of scenarios that you should work and work and work until you die. Yes, there are those who will be lucky and join that category. But the majority, unfortunately, will be able to retire. The question is, how prepared are you? And what does it take to prepare? It starts, number one, with the discipline around those three things that I talked about. Discipline with your finances. However little it may be, put aside something small towards your emergency, towards your saving, towards your investment. You may be saying, I earn 1 million, you may be saying, I earn 500,000, and it is not enough. But when you start to earn zero, that's when you remember, hey, 1 million was some significant amount of money. And I could have managed to put aside some 50,000, some 100,000, some 150,000 a month. That's one. The second thing that you need to pay attention to is what Asan has hinted on, is take your work seriously. When you take your work seriously, there are things you will start to learn and be different and get better. Chances are you are likely to easily get promoted. Chances are you are likely to be elevated. Chances are that you are going to get some skills that you can apply outside employment. Chances are that you are going to get networks that are valuing your skills, that are going to start tapping into you even while you're still working to deliver that service, that skill that you possess. The third thing that I would want to request people to pay attention to is networks. And there are several networks to pay attention to. My elder has hinted on the family. It's a key network to pay attention to. The other is group of friends, real friends. There is what we call general friends, but the group of friends that are genuine friends. The one you can call at midnight and say, wherever I am, send me 500,000. He will not ask you what you are going to do with it. You will just send it straight away. That's the kind of friend I'm talking about. You need those kind of friends in preparing towards your retirement. Thank you.
Our audience, virtual, you're most welcome, and the conversation is getting better. Relevant, practical, specific examples from our panelists on retirement, lessons, and experiences. Asan, we are left with 15 minutes, but I need to ask you, what message would you give to the football players? You're a spokesperson for Soccer Club Villa, and I know there are many football fans who are following global to plan for their career and live better after retirement from active football.
Thank you so much. I have been involved in football as a fan, but also as an administrator for quite a long time.
Yes.
I became the manager of Police Football Club in year 2000. And up to now, I became the chairman of Police Football Club for 20 years. And I'm now the spokesperson for Sports Club Villa since I retired up today. I have seen young people who are playing football, and sometimes they don't know that a talent has age, an age limit, in which you have to play that game. The game of football, if you are lucky, you will play it after 30 years. But the game of football, at a competitive level, you will have to play it most probably between the age of 22 to the age of 28. So you have something like 6 years. Now, in those 6 years, the kind of money that you get, and right now, football is being professionalized, even here in Uganda. Every player that plays football signs for a contract, and there is even a certain amount of money that player is supposed to get. Quite often than not, most of these players squander the money. They blow the money. They, as young people, because some of them get this money when they didn't expect it. And some of these players, by the way, have not yet got, may not get a very high level of education that some of us enjoy. Now, when they blow their money in 6 years and they retire from football, they live a miserable life. First, you have been seeing many young players in Malago. They are calling for people to support them because they have this ailment. There is nobody coming up. Even the clubs they played for, nobody is even caring to go and make sure that they look after this player. My advice to them is that every single amount of money that you get, every contract you sign after 2 years, because some of them even sign, by the way, contract of about 100 million that takes them for 2 years. And every time they are given transport, they are given bonuses, they are given winning, all this money. They should invest the same way as I said. They should never, never, never squander their money. That is number one. Number two, they must know that, yes, I have stopped playing football, but I have a career in management. I can be a coach. I can be a mentor. I can be an agent of other players to other clubs. Let them continue in that line. Just like I have said, that when you have experience in the kind of work that you are doing that was putting money on your table, please don't neglect that kind of work. Continue working and coalescing around the kind of technical expertise that you got or a talent that God gave you. I would advise them that they should continue to look at opportunities that are in football. Football is a multi-billion business. Multi-billion business. So they should leverage on this football so that they can the other one is that they have friends. They get so many friends. Time? Can you hear me? Okay, I was saying that while they are playing football, football is or sports is a venture where people get to love you because you belong to the same club. People, rich, poor, people in government, those who are on the streets, you get so many people who get to know you. Leverage on that. Leverage on it. Make sure that you keep them as friends. My friend, Dr. Barugahare, talked about joining groups. For me, I have about 5 groups that I have joined. I have a group that is doing tree planting. I have a group that is doing, okay, we do travel to parks where, Serengeti National Park, all these parks we go. But we have groups that do investments in financial, in unit trusts, we put money together and, we get money, we reinvest the money, we share the money. But we also have groups where we have our children, where, we pray together, where players also need to do that. Players need to join groups of people outside the game of football who can help them. And Dr. Barugahare was really, really very right. For example, if I have a huge problem and I call someone from my groups, they will come running to be able to rescue me. They have done so on some few occasions. So it's the same as football players. Now, my last point is anyone who retires should not segregate himself. Should not. I have seen colleagues of mine whom I last saw when we were still putting on uniform. They went to their houses, they locked themselves up. Maybe they drive them in town, but in tinted cars. And someone gets lost, you are out of the grid. And I think there is one statistic that doctor didn't say. I read it somewhere that about one point something, is it about 9%? I think it is as high as 9% of people who retire. 9% or something there around die within the first year of retirement. What do they die of? They die of anxiety. They die of unfulfilled things that they thought they would do. They die because friends no longer call them. They die because they used to get some, to be able to feed in their homes. They get something from the office, some rice, some cooking oil, some of this fuel. Someone has a car, it is parked at home, and you cannot put fuel because you didn't plan. The most important thing, do not go and hide and be an island of yourself. And these players are doing it, but even other people in offices are doing it. You cannot afford to go there and like you are lost and people do not understand you. So I think these are very, very important things that maybe I can add on. I had already said it. I can add on that these players need to check their health because really the rate at which our national players, for example, those who played for Uganda Cranes, the way they are dying, they have been suffering from certain things that they didn't know. I would implore that even employers, when somebody has done well, we need to keep on checking on them. I have seen certain organizations that have retired, for example, prisons or police. You see, retired police officers association, something like that. Makerere University, I know they could be having something like that. Dr. Barugahare can tell us. But even in football, Sports Club Villa, a huge successful club in Uganda since 1975, we should be having, and I am going to share it with my fellow board members, we should be having something about players who played for Sports Club Villa, like Higenyi, those of you know who Higenyi, Nkemba, Adam Semugabi, all these people, that they can be like an association where they are all are, and even the club can normally, if they want, for example, to play football and they need people who are going to work as, like guides or this, and they are paid some money, let that job go to the former player who is paid that money. You take something from them because they did something. But when you leave, and even the people who are on the gates, they can't recognize that this was a very serious player like Higenyi. They can't recognize him. It makes them die quickly. So I would want that even when we are discussing about retirement, if we have people who worked in banks. Banks employed so many people. Other organizations employed so many people. Keep those people somewhere. We are not saying that the organization puts money, but you never know what can come in that organization. You may need somebody to go and do for you some work. But you remember that Kasingye, while he worked in here, he had expertise. He had generated a lot of expertise in something. Bring him on board and say, Mr. Kasingye, in 6 months, we want you to write for us a concept on community policing. Pay him some money or something like that. It is really good. Clubs can do it, but even other organizations can do it. I'm sorry I've talked a lot, but I thought that was also important that we add it there.
Wonderful. And those in the audience, this is when you know the difference between finance literacy improvement program. It is not motivational talk, but the panelists speak from their relevant specific examples. Dr. Charles Barugahare, we are left with only 5 minutes. But when we talk about retirement, lessons and experiences, are there opportunities in retirement?
Opportunity number 3 is that utilize your knowledge, your skills in areas that matter. What do I mean? When you look at a number of things that we get involved in, most areas improve when we continuously do them. I don't think Asan Kasingye had experience in managing security firms, but because he started and in an area of his interest, over time he has gained mastery. I don't think I had enough expertise at the time I was starting coaching, mentorship, financial training to train and inspire and guide many people, give them guides, give them tools that can change their lives. But with time and consistency, you develop capacity, you develop skills that enable you to create those tools, to create those competencies that can lead you into the future. So, have the discipline, be consistent, and remain in line with what inspires you, what gives you vision, what gives you clarity of your future. Recently, I learned something very small but very important about what financial literacy was about. And many people actually, that word is very hard, but it appears simple. It is basically having essential skills that you can apply to make a difference in your life. Anybody who has that has financial literacy. And therefore, we get some of those over time as we learn and apply. Thank you.
Asan, coming to the end of the session, in just 1 minute, what is your parting thought?
My parting shot is that what has an ingress has an egress. There is a time that comes that what you started, you are going to end it in retirement. Start planning for it. Make sure that all you save money, you invest money because you will need a cash flow when the time comes, and make sure that while you are in office, you served well. When you get out of office, you will be treated well. That is important. Keep your family intact. Make sure that you are healthy, and make sure that you have friends that mean a lot to you. That is my parting shot, is that at one time everybody will retire, but what is important is that you plan well. I thank you so much, and may God bless you.
Amen. Dr. Charles, your parting parting shot.
Thank you so much, our listeners, our viewers. When we see you, when we connect with you, we feel proud, we feel happy that you are taking this program seriously. But what I want to say is that that statistic that I shared does not lie. And therefore, we all have a chance, particularly those who are still working, to work through and minimize that big percentage of 49% who retire as financial dependents on family, friends, and the community. It is very, very painful to see a senior person, a former responsible person holding an office on the street or begging fellow peers, begging children, begging friends for a daily bread for survival. It's very, very, very painful. But we can gradually and steadily, with consistency, make a difference in our financial lives and therefore change the perspective of retirement. Asan hinted on something very critical, that he has attempted to talk to people in the police and they are like, what are you going to talk to us about? And that's what is happening as well in many organizations. Remember, the organization will stay, it's only people who retire. Thank you so much, and have a good evening.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of the 17th Financial Education, Retirement, Lessons and Experiences. The conversation can continue online. We want to take this opportunity to thank you for being part of this session for the last 1 hour. God bless. Good night.
Good night.